Another long day finally comes to an end. I shut down my computer, pack up whatever's lying around, and walk back to my familiar little room. Like every other night, the first thing I do is drop onto my bed, open my phone, and scroll through a couple of videos just to quiet the noise in my head. But somehow, the more I scrolled, the emptier I felt. The messages slowed down. The conversations that used to be lively now, they're just seen. The places where people used to call my name, no one remembers I was ever there. And it's not like anyone said something harsh. It's not like anyone did anything terrible. It's just this strange, quiet feeling, like I'm fading out of other people's lives. There were nights when I asked myself, maybe I'm just not interesting enough, not good enough, not someone people naturally pay attention to. For a long time, I lived with that invisible feeling. I still did my work. I still went out, laughed, talked, but deep inside, there was always this tiny emptiness, a thought like, if I disappeared one day, would anyone notice right away? If you've ever felt anything like that, then welcome to this small healing podcast of mine. I'm not here to teach you how to live. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't feel. I just want to share what I went through. The moments when I felt invisible. The times I tried so hard to be seen and ended up disappointed. And the nights I quietly pulled myself back into my own shell. And later on, through a bit of Stoic philosophy, I learned how to stand a little steadier, how to see myself more gently, even when the world still didn't notice me. If you're willing, stay with me for a while. I'll tell you the rest of the story. Another day passes, exactly like the ones before it. I turn off my monitor, close my laptop, say a few polite goodbyes to my coworkers, and walk out of the office. It feels like I've just finished running a race, but I'm not even sure what I'm running for. When I get home, my routine is always the same. Drop my bag in a corner, fall onto the bed, unlock my phone, and start scrolling. My inbox is still there. A few familiar names, a few old conversations, but the chats that used to go on forever now have a single last message from months ago, and that small word under it, seen. It feels strange. There was a time when I only needed to send one text, and someone would reply almost immediately. Now I type, erase, type again, erase, again, and end up not sending anything at all. It's not that I have nothing to say, it's that I'm not sure anyone on the other side still wants to hear it. Some nights, I open Instagram, TikTok, anything that can pull me out of my own head. I look at everyone else's lives, crowded parties, weekend trips, captions like, so grateful for my friends, and there I am, lying alone in my room, scrolling up, scrolling down. Like a reflex, my hands memorized. Sometimes I stop at a story with a group of friends I used to be part of. Now I'm not tagged there anymore. No drama, no fights. No one said goodbye. It's just that, at some point, I disappeared from the photos, from the group hangouts, and it seemed like nobody really noticed. There's one afternoon at work I remember very clearly. We were in a meeting, discussing a new project. I had thought about it quite a lot beforehand, so when the chance came, I shared my idea. No one said it was bad, but no one paused to ask more either. It felt like I'd thrown a stone into the lake and the water didn't even ripple. A few minutes later, someone else shared almost the same idea, just in different words. This time, everyone nodded, asked questions, started building on top of it. No one remembered I had spoken at all. I sat right there, smiled it off, like it was nothing, but inside, I felt like an empty chair that night. When I got home, I replayed that scene over and over in my head, and I started asking myself, did I not explain it clearly enough? Do I look like I don't believe in what I'm saying? Or is it simply that my name never pops up in their minds when they think about the important people on the team? No one insulted me. No one tore me down, but all those small moments piled up like drops of water falling onto the same spot, until they slowly carve out a hole. That hole sat right in the middle of my chest, with a name. Maybe I'm just not special. The feeling of being invisible didn't just show up at work. There was a time I was in this in-between kind of relationship. Not really lovers, but not just friends either. We texted every day, shared things I thought only the two of us understood. I replied fast, always tried to be there whenever they needed someone. But when I needed something, when I was tired, when I secretly hoped someone would ask, "Hey, are you okay today?" my messages somehow got postponed indefinitely. They still liked my stories, still replied with jokes now and then. But whenever something more important appeared, another person, another plan, another priority, I immediately dropped to the bottom of the list. Slowly, I began to accept a strange role. I was the one who was always there, but never the one who got chosen first. On the loneliest nights, I would unlock my phone, scroll up and down my contacts, and wonder who I could call, who I could text, to say something completely honest like, "I'm really tired today." But with each name that passed by, my mind came up with reasons not to. This person is always busy. That one only reaches out when they need something. We haven't talked in so long, it'd be weird to message now. So in the end, I turned off the screen and took that heaviness to bed with me. Every time, I told myself, it's fine, I'm okay, it's not a big deal. But the truth is, I wasn't okay. I'd just gotten used to ignoring my own feelings, the same way other people seemed to ignore my presence. Some days, I tried to change. I tried talking more, being more active, messaging first, asking people out. I thought maybe I was just too quiet, and that's why no one noticed me. But sometimes, the answer I got was still, maybe another time. I'm busy today, sorry, or worse, no reply at all. And the funny thing is, even when I was being turned down, I still tried to be the understanding one. Yeah, no worries. I was just asking. But after each of those moments, I retreated a little further inside myself. I started to believe, if I stay silent, the world still turns just fine. If I don't show up, everyone's plans still go on as usual. If I don't speak, no one asks, "Hey, where were you today?" Those thoughts didn't hit me all at once. They slipped in slowly, day by day, in little things. A hangout I wasn't invited to. A group chat that only tagged me when they needed a favor. A project at work where my name was only mentioned at the very end. I didn't realize I was gradually shrinking my own presence. In group settings, I spoke less. On social media, I posted less. In messages, I reached out less. I thought, if I appear less, maybe I won't have to feel that sting of being ignored so often. But the strange thing was, the more I pulled back, the emptier I felt. Not the kind of empty that a party could fix, but the kind that feels like you're no longer the main character in your own life, like you're just standing off to the side, watching some version of yourself live according to other people's expectations, to the busy rhythm of the world, while no one ever turns around to ask, "How do you really feel?" There's one night I remember very clearly. I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling. No music, no lights, no distractions, just me, and a loop of questions. If tomorrow I stopped showing up everywhere, no stories, no messages, no replies to emails, how many people would actually notice? I couldn't find a precise number, but what I did feel was a kind of cold that went very deep. Not the cold from the air conditioner, but the cold of realizing I had nothing solid to hold on to prove that I mattered back then. I didn't know anything about philosophy. I hadn't read Marcus Aurelius. I didn't know what Stoicism was. All I thought was, if people don't see me, it must be because I'm not good enough. So I chose the most familiar solution. I turned it all against myself. I blamed myself. And I used silence as a bandage to cover the wound so no one would see it. And at the same time, to quietly remind myself, stop bothering people. But the more time passed, the more I realized something. That feeling of being invisible doesn't just come from how others treat us. It also comes from how we treat ourselves every time we're overlooked. I had let their gaze decide how much I existed. I had turned their silence into proof that I wasn't worth paying attention to, and I'd forgotten something very basic before asking the world to see me. I needed to stop dimming myself first. That journey from feeling like I didn't exist to slowly trying to see things from a different angle didn't happen overnight. It started on very ordinary days like these. A long day at work, the same old bed, a glowing phone in my hand, and that nameless emptiness sitting in my chest. The rest of the story is about how I slowly sat down with that feeling, began asking different questions, and, for the first time, tried not to jump straight to, I'm worthless, just because someone else couldn't see me. But that's a part I'll go into more deeply later. For now, I just want to be honest, before any theory, before any philosophy. I was just like you might be right now, lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, and quietly wondering, am I slowly disappearing? After that night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself, am I slowly disappearing? I didn't magically wake up as some upgraded version of myself. No stronger, no cooler, no new me. The next morning, I was still the same person, drinking my coffee, checking emails, replying to work messages, joining meetings, smiling politely, but something tiny had shifted. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic, just a small change in where my attention went. I started paying a little more attention to myself. Before that, whenever I felt ignored, I had a very fast reflex. Whatever, I'm just overthinking, they're probably busy. Forget it. Staying quiet is easier. After that night, I tried not saying whatever so quickly, at least not immediately. I bought a small notebook, nothing fancy, just a cheap one. At night, before scrolling on my phone, I'd open it and write a few lines. Not aesthetic journaling, not pretty quotes, just blunt sentences like, today in the meeting, my idea got brushed past. I'm sad, really sad, I feel not respected. At first, writing it down felt kind of stupid. Like, why am I making a big deal out of this? But the more I wrote, the more I realized I had never actually allowed myself to fully feel anything. Every time a negative emotion showed up, I instantly switched into fix mode. It's fine. There are more important things to worry about. They have their reasons to. I'm just being dramatic. It sounds mature, reasonable, understanding. But if you look closely, it was just another way I abandoned myself. Exactly the way other people had been unconsciously abandoning me. Slowly, as I kept writing, I noticed a pattern in my pages. Everything circled around one core feeling. I'm not important enough for anyone to pause for me. Seeing that didn't make the sadness disappear, but for the first time, I could put an honest name on the thing that had been sitting on my chest. Around that time, I randomly stumbled onto some philosophy videos, not because I was into self-help, but because some random recommendation popped up while I was scrolling. In one of those videos, there was a quote from Marcus Aurelius, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The first time I heard it, I shrugged. Yeah, I've seen that on Pinterest before. But that night, lying in bed, the sentence came back to me very clearly. Before that, I had always measured my value through other people's responses. Do they text me back? Do they invite me out? Do they listen when I speak? If the answer was no, I instantly concluded, then I must not be worth much. But if Marcus is right, if I only have power over my own mind, not other people's actions or attention, then maybe I'd been using the wrong measuring stick all along. It doesn't mean people can treat me however they want, and I shouldn't care. That line sounds toxic and fake. It means something else. I had gone so far that I turned other people's silence into proof that I was worthless. That night, I opened my notebook again and wrote, maybe I'm not invisible. Maybe I've just been using the wrong standard to measure my existence. Just one sentence. But it felt like someone had cracked open a tiny window in my mind. Little by little, I tried one new thing. When a negative feeling showed up, I stopped rushing to a conclusion. For example, on a normal day at work, I'd share an idea and no one would really respond. The old version of me would say, "See, you're not important. Nobody cares what you say." But the new, very faint voice in me would whisper, "Wait, the facts are, I shared an idea. No one picked it up. That's it. The rest, I'm not important, is the story I'm adding on top." To be honest, at first, this new voice sounded awkward, like a stranger sitting in my head, gently reminding me, "Hey, maybe don't be so brutal with yourself so quickly." Sometimes I listened. Sometimes I pushed it away, stopped sugarcoating it. I know who I am. I'm nothing in anyone's eyes. But either way, that new voice stayed, and that was the first step in unlocking my emotions, not forcing myself to think positive, but allowing one extra voice inside me that was a little less cruel. Later, when I read more about Stoicism, I came across a line from Epictetus that stayed with me. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The first time I saw it, I was annoyed. I thought, so what? The way people treat me doesn't matter at all. But when I read more carefully, I realized he wasn't saying what happens to you doesn't matter. He was saying, what crushes us is not only the event itself, but the story we tell ourselves afterward. And the story I'd been repeating for years was, if they don't choose me, it means I don't deserve to be chosen. Once I saw that, I started trying to change the story just a little. Not with those dramatic mantras like, I'm the universe. I deserve everything. That doesn't match my reality at all. I tried sentences that were honest enough for me to actually believe. Maybe people don't pay as much attention to me as I wish they did, but that doesn't automatically turn me into zero. Maybe I'm not their first priority, but that doesn't mean I can't be my own first priority. Maybe they don't see me clearly, but at the very least, I can try to see myself more clearly. Every time I was about to end with, "See, I'm invisible," I tried adding one more line. That's just one perspective. It might not be the whole truth. I didn't always succeed. Some days I was exhausted and fell back into the old conclusion. But the simple act of adding one more sentence, however small it sounds, was how I slowly pulled myself a little bit out of the dark. One unexpected thing happened. As I became less obsessed with do they see me? Do they see me? I started noticing other things. In meetings, instead of using all my energy to guess what everyone thought of me, I began asking, what actually matters to me in this discussion? Which part of this work can I do better for myself, not just to get applause? In relationships, I started looking again. The people whose attention I'm chasing so hard, do they really fit my values? Sometimes, The answer was hard to swallow. I realized I had tried to squeeze myself into certain groups and dynamics, simply because I was afraid of standing alone, not because I truly felt I belonged there. And strangely, once I accepted that, the feeling of invisibility in those wrong rooms hurt a little less. It was like finally understanding. Why am I shouting louder and louder in a room where everyone only cares about a completely different language? It's not that I'm broken. I'm just in the wrong room. From that angle, the feeling of being invisible, still sad, but no longer a life sentence, starts to look more like a signal, a quiet whisper saying, hey, maybe this place, this person, this circle is simply not your ground. Of course, that doesn't mean I suddenly became this detached person like, if they don't see me, whatever, I'm thriving anyway. No, even now. There are still moments when I feel a sting, seeing plans I wasn't invited to. There are still nights when a left and read message makes me feel small, but unlike before, I no longer let a single small event drag my entire sense of self to the bottom. I still allow myself to be sad. I even write it down. Today, I felt ignored again. I'm really sad about it. And then I add, but I am not only this moment. There's a whole list of other things to look at. Slowly, I started writing what came after the sadness. Today this person didn't reply, but I focused and finished something hard that I've been avoiding for weeks. Today, no one invited me anywhere, but I sat with a cup of coffee by myself and read something that made life feel a little less pointless. I don't use those positive things to paint over the pain like a layer of pretty paint. I treat them as two truths that can exist side by side. Truth number 1, I was left out, and it hurt. Truth number 2, my life is not only that hurt. I am quietly doing things that matter to me. Between those two truths, I start to feel a little less invisible, at least in my own eyes. One night, after jotting down some random thoughts, I accidentally flipped back through the old pages. I could see a clear journey from I'm nothing to maybe I'm just in the wrong place to I'm sad, but I'm still showing up for myself. And then, faintly, a new idea. What if this feeling of being invisible is actually trying to teach me something? There was no grand conclusion. I just sat there, pen in hand, and realized I no longer saw my emotions as the enemy. Instead of trying to bury them, I was starting to sit next to them and ask, okay, what are you here to tell me? Maybe that was the point where my days began to tilt in a slightly different direction. Not less painful right away, but less blurry. I stopped seeing myself only as a victim of being ignored, and more as a person who could choose what to do with those empty spaces. In the next part, I'll talk more about how those small realizations slowly changed the way I lived, how I treated myself, how I chose my relationships, and how I gradually stopped trying to shine in rooms where no one was ever looking my way. But that's for later. For now, if you're in the phase where all you can do is finally look your feelings in the eye, that's already enough. Every other change can quietly begin from that one small place. After a while of writing and looking back at myself, I realized something. Just understanding the problem isn't enough. Knowing that I keep jumping to the worst conclusions about myself, knowing that I measure my worth through other people's eyes, knowing that I've been standing in the wrong rooms in my life. If it all stopped there, then every night I'd still be lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking the same old question, who am I in my own life, really? I never had some dramatic wake-up moment. There was no day where I suddenly became confident and radiant, posted a story saying, from now on, I choose myself, and then my life changed overnight. Everything started with very small shifts, so small that if I hadn't paid attention, I would have believed nothing was different at all. I remember the first time I tried doing something where the main criteria wasn't what will people think, but do I feel more alive when I do this? It wasn't anything huge. I didn't quit my job, move cities, or travel the world. I just chose a fixed slice of my day, usually at night, and reserved it for something that belonged to me. Some people would call it a hobby. Others would call it a passion project. For me, it was simply a corner of my life where I don't have to compete for attention. I read, I wrote, I learned something new. I did things that, even if no one knew, no one praised, no one clicked, like still felt meaningful to me. At first, it felt strange. I realized that for years, almost everything I did carried a shadow. Will anyone notice this? So when I finally did something no one could see, I pretty much got a crash course in what living for myself means at the most basic level. The interesting part was the more I had something that was truly mine, the less desperate I became for validation in other places. The feeling of being invisible in others' eyes was still there, but it didn't drag me all the way down anymore, because I knew, at the very least, in that tiny corner, I am the main character. In the past, every relationship I stepped into came with a hidden expectation. Finally, here's someone who will really see me. So the moment they didn't respond the way I imagined, I fell straight into the deepest pit. See, I'm invisible again. Later on, I tried doing it differently. I stopped waiting for someone to come save me from feeling unseen. I started looking at people as they are, another human being with their own life, their own pain, their own limits. When someone didn't reply to my messages, or only reached out when they needed something, I stopped rushing too. They're doing this to hurt me, but I also stopped painting it all white with they're probably just busy. I should be more understanding. Instead, I asked, in this relationship, am I always the one adjusting? Always the flexible one? Always waiting? Always lowering my standards? If the answer was yes, I started stepping back a little, not disappearing to punish them, not cutting them off in some dramatic way, just being less available, less quick to blame myself, less eager to prove, hey, I'm good enough. Please notice me. For me, boundaries weren't about building a cold, stone wall. They were more like drawing a small circle around myself and saying, inside this circle, I won't keep accepting being treated as the last option. If someone stepped in, I still greeted them. If someone needed help, I still showed up. But I stopped automatically pushing myself to the very bottom, like it was my role. That didn't make me less kind. It just made me a little less absent from my own life. Something else I learned is this: sometimes the feeling of being invisible isn't proof that I'm not good enough. It's more like a map. It shows me the places where my values aren't really seen for what they are. In some friend groups, what gets valued most is being funny, loud, quick with jokes. I can't do that every day. I lose that game at the starting line. In some environments, what gets attention is achievements, titles, whatever can be displayed. Quiet effort, long processes. Almost no one has the patience to look at those. If I keep standing in those places, shouting, "Look at me, I'm valuable too," then, at some point, I'll burn out long before I get what I'm fighting for. So I started practicing a skill I'd always been terrible at: leaving spaces that no longer fit me. It wasn't always some big, cinematic walkout. Most of the time, it looked like replying a little less, showing up a little less, giving less of my energy to circles where I constantly had to push myself just to be considered enough. On the other hand, I started spending more time in smaller, quieter spaces where I could talk more slowly, share more honestly, and not be judged just because I wasn't the loudest person in the room. When I stopped trying to shine in the way other people preferred, I finally had room to ask, what does my own light actually look like? And strangely, the moment I stopped chasing the wrong kind of recognition, the people who fit me better slowly began to appear. Not a crowd, just a few, but enough for me to feel. So I'm not a blurry shadow everywhere. I just needed the right place to stand. If you asked me now whether that feeling of being invisible has completely disappeared, I'd be honest, not really. There are still days when I'm forgotten in a conversation. There are still moments when my name isn't on any list, but compared to before, I see it very differently now. Back then, each time that feeling showed up, I used it like evidence to sentence myself. See, you really don't matter. Now, I treat it like a reminder. Here, maybe I'm playing the wrong role here. Maybe I'm expecting too much from people who just aren't ready. Here, maybe I haven't checked what I actually need from myself. It still hurts, but it's no longer a black hole that swallows everything. From my own experience, and from the Stoic pages I've read, I've learned this. I cannot force anyone to see me, but I can choose not to turn off every light in my own room just because they're facing the other way. If you've listened this far, maybe in some part of this story, you recognized yourself. Maybe you've been in a meeting like I was, shared an idea, and watched it float away as if it never existed. Maybe you've also lay in bed, scrolling up and down, looking at everyone else's life, and quietly wondering if anyone thinks of you when they plan their next day. I don't know the details of your life. I don't know what city you're in, whether your bed is comfortable, whether your room is noisy or completely still. But there's one thing I do know. If you've stayed until the end of this episode, you're trying. You're trying to understand yourself. You're trying not to judge yourself as harshly as before. You're trying to find a new way to look at feelings you've only ever learned to bury. I can't promise that after this podcast, you'll never feel invisible again. I can't guarantee that starting tomorrow, the world will suddenly turn around and see you with different eyes. But I do hope that at the very least, you'll feel a little less invisible to yourself. That when a message goes unanswered, you won't use it as final proof that I'm worthless. That when your name isn't on an invite, you'll still feel sad, but you'll also remember that your life is more than doors other people choose to close. That in between all the times you're overlooked, you'll still keep a few small spaces just for you to live, to try, to do things that, even if no one ever sees, make you quietly proud when you think about them. Tonight, even if no one out there remembers you, there are at least two people who see you clearly. One is me, the person sitting here, sharing my own story, hoping it's somehow brushed up against yours. And the other is you, if you're willing to look at yourself a little more gently, a little less harshly, a little less quick to declare yourself unworthy every time the world turns too slowly toward you. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end of this episode. I hope that tonight, even just a little, your chest feels lighter, and you can fall asleep with the quiet sense that you do exist, fully and enough, even if no one has truly seen it yet. I'll see you again in another episode, when we sit down once more to talk about things that seem so small, yet quietly shape the way we walk through our entire life.